If you think about your own kids, if you have them, for example, you'll notice that they spend zero time on the subjects that they hate the most, like whether it's math, Chinese, English, you'll see them avoid it like hell. But if it's something they love, like, I don't know, for some kids it might be reading, it might be sports, it could be cats or dogs, they'll spend all their time in it.
Hello， 大家好啊！歡迎嚟到我要做訪問啦。咁今日嘅嘉賓咧非常特別啦，一個15歲嘅小妹妹叫 Hillary 啊。咁都係 through connection 啦，就問咦會唔會想訪問下呢個小妹妹咧？咁其實咧我撞啱 YouTube 咧都見過佢幾次。咁佢就咧10歲就創業啦，到15歲咧仲係呢個 app 叫 MinorMynas 啦。咁 meanwhile 佢仲係讀緊書喎嚇。咁即係一個 juggling， 其實同我哋一樣，只不過我哋咧未必係讀緊書。相信咧歲數係一個 mentality 嘅。記住個影片睇到最後，可以俾 like 同埋 comment 啦。因為都真係咧 through connection 識咧 comment 可以話翻俾佢聽，或者問多啲跟進一啲問題嘅。記住睇到最後啦。
Hi everybody, so we're very happy to have our first teenager guest today, and we're excited to introduce to everybody Hillary Yip. So Hillary is a very talented teenager who was invited to deliver a speech in one of Jack Ma's entrepreneur foundation named Jumpstarter recently. So Hillary Yip is a 15-year-old founder and CEO of MinorMynas, which aim to build a global kids community on the safest online platform possible. In 2016, her original idea has received the first prize and best business award at the AIA Emerging Entrepreneur Challenge in Hong Kong, which jump-started her entrepreneurship journey. This app on the iOS system has launched in May 2017, and as of April 2019, the app has close to 60,000 downloads across more than 50 countries. Hillary, thank you once again for your time today. We're very excited to get a different perspective, actually, because most of our guests are, let's say, on the north side of 30 or 40 years old. So you'll be our first teenage guest, and we're very excited.
It's an honor to be here, but I always like to think of age as more of a mentality rather than something you should be proud of or ashamed of.
Right.
Right. So Hillary, can you please explain just quickly to our audience what your app MinorMynas, or what your company MinorMynas is about?
So MinorMynas aims to solve two key problems. First of all, the issue of education. As it is today, schools and the way we learn as a whole tends to ignore a few key aspects. First of all, it makes us kids pretty passive with our own learning. The issue that we've all seen today is just how bored and unengaged students tend to be. This is because we don't have control over what we learn, and it's just pretty much a whole mindset where you will sit through the train and it'll take you wherever you're gonna go. The second issue with this is a lack of focus on soft skills, which are what is truly going to be important. So soft skills are things like communication, collaboration, critical thinking, things that aren't exactly hard knowledge. The thing about schools is, like, even with Latin, which I honestly love as a subject, you're not exactly going to use, I don't know, the ablative absolute in your daily life every single day. But it's the lessons that you learn from this experience, like attention to detail or memorization, that will wind up helping you in the future. So the focus over reliance on hard knowledge and not soft skills is also a key issue. The second problem that MinorMynas wants to solve is the idea of screen time. So we kids are very limited when we go online. We pretty much have either going on video games or educational products with no fun in between with a social aspect. So MinorMynas hopes to combine all of these to create a solution that is fun for kids and productive at the same time. So how we do this is quite clear. On our app, which is a global kids community with adult supervision for safety, kids are able to learn from each other in a peer-to-peer environment. So kids set up their own groups for them to chat in about subjects that they're passionate about. For example, if you love talking about sports, if you like talking about history, if you like talking about math, you can set up these groups and discuss with like-minded people. So this puts the autonomy back into the learning, where you can actively choose to teach about the things you love or try and find subjects that you're interested in doing. If you think about your own kids, if you have them, for example, you'll notice that they spend zero time on the subjects that they hate the most, like whether it's math, Chinese, English, you'll see them avoid it like hell. But if it's something they love, Like, I don't know, for some kids it might be reading, it might be sports, it could be cats or dogs. They'll spend all their time in it, and you will just wish that the same passion was applied elsewhere. That's the type of curiosity and that spark that we want kids to have while going on MinorMynas to learn from each other. With the social aspect, you get to make friends online, and just learning from a friend makes it a lot more fun. By talking to each other in this environment, you can build up soft skills like collaboration, teamwork, or even just what you learn from teaching each other, whether it's what helps you communicate or if it's just restructuring the knowledge for yourself.
All right, so we want to know is how do you feel about being one of the youngest CEOs in Hong Kong, and how do you like your current entrepreneurial life? As a CEO of MinorMynas, what is the most challenging decision that you have ever made?
I think that there's no particular opinion about me being a teenage CEO. Honestly, the label, if anything, just is something that I don't think much of. Working on MinorMynas has honestly been a passion project for many years, and it's not like a status symbol, nor is it something that underpins my self-worth. So MinorMynas is something that I've loved working on for many years, and it continues to be a project that I'm pretty passionate about continuing. As for anything that's any difficult challenge or any singular decision, I'd say that working on a startup has many challenges, and it's difficult to pinpoint one moment. Though I suppose one of the most challenging bits for us, at least, was trying to find the right developer to build our second version, and just the negotiation process into negotiating government funds, or even just making sure that we can keep our overhead and costs as low as possible.
So would you mind share with us your latest project that you're currently working on, and what's the main purpose of the project?
So I'm currently working on MinorMynas, which is an app built for kids for us to learn from each other in a safe community. That's pretty much been the main thing I'm working on. It's kind of difficult to fit in another 6 apps or something, but I'm currently working on this, and the main purpose of MinorMynas is to connect the world through kids and for us to learn from each other in a safe space.
Right. Cool, sounds good. Okay, so the modern business world is ever-changing and full of uncertainties. I'm sure you're aware now since you've been working on MinorMynas for a while now, especially during these times in COVID. So how do you try to stay ahead of the curve, especially in this difficult situation right now we have?
Quite frankly, there's very limited things you can do to stay ahead of the curve, because there are so many measures that you could take that may not play out the way you expected. Like, you have no idea if suddenly tomorrow the masks come off and you can all go outside. But you also equally don't know if we'll be stuck in this situation for another 2-3 years. For us with MinorMynas, we've actually been quite delayed by the pandemic because our developers have encountered their own issues with work from home, or just personal problems arising from lockdown. The way we've taken care of it, at least, is kind of what I hinted at earlier. By keeping our costs as low as possible, it just means that we're able to sustain ourselves for a bit longer. So once things get ready, we've just got that extra bit of buffer time that we can work with.
Right. So actually, I've seen you a couple of times on YouTube, right? So you have been invited to share your idea at many business and events and international conferences, such as European Innovation Academy, Global Women's Forum Dubai 2020, and also I've seen you with Gary Vee, right? Remember that? Which one is the most? Yeah, about a while. Yeah. Which one is the most memorable, and why would you think so? And did you learn anything from it?
I don't think that you can exactly quantify the singular experience that is most memorable, because there could be any one of them, like when I met Gary Vee, or when my first ever pitch, when I managed to somehow drop half of my presentation. So for my first presentation, I was 10 years old. It was the very, very, very basic concept for MinorMynas. As kids talk to each other, they learn each other's languages. I had 3 very simple flashcards that I should have read off, that I wrote myself. I somehow dropped the middle one and completely went on forgetting it completely. So that's one memorable experience. But I think that the one key thing that kind of goes through all of them is just meeting new people, learning about what they do, being inspired by the effort they put, the soft skills that are put into the business, and just really, I suppose, learning as much as I can and understanding how I can apply that to my own life and how I can apply that to, MinorMynas.
Great. Okay, so this next question is actually something I'm actually a little interested to know more of as well. So first thing I'm curious to know is, how do you balance your lifestyle right now in terms of you being a 15-year-old teenager, going to school, doing all the different, in Hong Kong, the tests and schools and stuff like that? How do you balance yourself in your day-to-day lifestyle with you being a CEO of MinorMynas and as well as going to school? And as well, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? So currently you're doing this app right now. So are you planning to continue to build on this, or this is something you would like to give it a try and then maybe do something else later on?
I think I'm just going to start by talking about balancing school and, work, because work-life balance is something that a lot of people face. I'm not a particularly organized person, nor am I extremely meticulous with my time. So I'm not the person you'll see with numerous alarm systems going off saying I must do this, this, and this at a given time. But my system is fairly simple. I have a notebook like this one. I will write down all the tasks I need to complete, whether it's, homework, writing essays, getting stuff done for school, or writing emails for MinorMynas, getting the development stuff sorted, design, just having all my tasks haphazardly put on a list. And anytime I've got a bit of spare half hour, spare hour, I will go through my list, find a priority item, and just go through it. That way I find that you can balance it out better. And obviously I will carve out like a few sacred hours where it will be exclusively devoted to MinorMynas or exclusively devoted to schoolwork. Like I wake up at 6-ish a.m. From that time to 9:30 when classes start, that's just schoolwork for me. So on the question about what I want to do in 5 to 10 years, I suppose it's quite difficult to really say for certain, a plan. Because if you asked me 5 years ago before I started MinorMynas, I would have said, I don't know about entrepreneurship. I have no idea what it is. Probably sounds boring. In the same way, you cannot exactly predict what's going to happen in the future. Like no one predicted the pandemic coming, or I don't think any one of us could see exactly where we are. But my plan for now is to work on MinorMynas for as far as it can take me, because MinorMynas is honestly something I believe in as a project and believe in as an idea. And as long as I am the best one to lead it, I will continue working on it as hard as I can. Other than MinorMynas, I am, reaching the end of my secondary school years. So I'm starting to have more of an emphasis on studying. So I've, knuckling down, and I hope to study history and politics when I get to uni.
So it's really pretty rare to see kids homeschooling it in Hong Kong, right? Is it okay to homeschool in Hong Kong? Because I know that I studied in Canada, and I guess most audiences wonder how about the homeschooling in Hong Kong. Actually, if you do a startup, you sort of sacrificing your study, right? Is it like that?
Honestly, no. So homeschooling was something that has been a bit of a mixed bag for me since I started. So I started homeschooling due to just a weird thing in the timetable where I left my previous school in February, and the offers I had was only for September of that year. So we started experimenting with project-based learning, we started experimenting with homeschooling, and we worked out that it was just a better system that worked out for myself and my brother. So we wound up spending 1 full year doing homeschooling, in the more traditional sense, where we have nothing to do with teachers, we don't really have a school that we go to, we just submitted assignments and went through our own self-initiated stuff. Then at the end of this, right now my brother and I are in a homeschool co-op. We're pretty much guinea pigs for an organization that wants to set up a school. There's a lot of us homeschoolers here, there are teachers, and it's just a more innovative and flexible classroom space. They're due to set up their primary campus next year, so it's been a pretty fun experience. It's more similar to school in where we are right now.
Right. Is it kind of the sacrifice if you have a startup? Heard of people saying something like that? Oh, you're 15. Why don't you just focus on your studying? Why do you have a startup like that?
what people don't really know is just how much of a nerd I am. So on my desk, it's pretty much strewn with my textbooks and highlighters. So I just like any passion project, like instrument or something you love, like sports, I just schedule my time around it. And studying is still honestly my priority this year since I've got GCSEs coming up. So I've just got my textbooks and stuff strewn around my room, and I do it when I can, and when I have a spare moment, I'll go work on MinorMynas.
Yeah, so thanks again, Hillary, for your time. I think our subscribers have learned a lot from you today about how to balance your life as a student and as a teenage CEO. So thanks again. So we'll hope to hear from you and your app hopefully hitting 1 million subscribers and downloads very soon. Thank you.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Bye now. 好啦，睇完今次訪問咧，唔知大家對於呢個 work-life balance 有乜嘢嘅一個啟發啊？咁啊，大家咧都可以去俾 like， 同埋咧有啲乜嘢嘅補充或者有咩分享咧，都可以下面留言區咧一齊留言探討嘅喎。記住繼續收睇我哋要做訪問啦，不斷會有啲名人嘉賓咧會同大家會分享佢哋人生之路㗎。投資唔係大家專利，下次見，拜拜。多謝大家踴躍參加我嘅10年財務自由嘅網上課程啊！已經 join 咗嘅朋友呢，11月份嘅 Lifetime Coaching 手拖手直播會講到環球實盤實例實測，好多唔同嘅陷阱，咁好多大家買樓盤嘅時候呢，其實都預算錯誤，計錯 return 嘅。今次咧就一定做個實例啦，同大家分享下真實嘅樓盤 project 啊！呢個 exclusive 嘅 lifetime coaching 咧係預留咗俾參加咗10年財務自由嘅同學嘅。如果你都想參加呢個 lifetime coaching 私人群組嘅話咧，可以去翻我哋下面連結，有個1小時免費簡介同工作坊，了解更多就得㗎啦。哇！恭喜晒，贏得我哋第2塊地嘅贏家，佢哋贏到我哋禮物籃入邊咧大獎港幣100蚊現金啊！我一睇到對白先知道嘅咋，咁好彩請食飯啦！佢咧就幫手 refer 咗20位朋友嘅。如果你都想有機會贏到第3塊地嘅1萬蚊咧，簡單咁訂閱我要做富翁嘅 YouTube， 然後去到下面連結報名。遊戲玩到最後面咧，仲會釋放終極30萬首期幫你上車㗎。我哋遊戲係歡迎任何地區人士參加，詳情去翻我哋遊戲網頁睇翻啦。1年1度嘅升級版年末優惠咧又嚟到啦！係喺價格調整之前咧，最後一次限定優惠啊！仲要係震撼價59折啊！優惠咧包括晒3點鐘同9點鐘，12個月咧再加多你1個月，總共係13個月啦。咁我哋亦都會有全新嘅配套喎，就新加咗全新虛擬組合教學實例啊，更加緊貼真實組合，更詳盡嘅投資策略，更廣闊嘅投資工具啊！再加入全新嘅短炒區，每日最新短炒觀察名單。到家教學嘅人肉提示啊！有興趣咧就趁住名額未爆，一定要去報名。報咗名之後，我哋唔會 overlap 嘅時間，係會 extend 嘅，大家唔使擔心。有興趣嘅趁名額未報，快啲去登記啦！今個禮拜仲有好多其他嘅免費線上分享會，全球朋友都係參加㗎。我哋有期指、期權、英國房地產、程式交易同埋美股班，大家記住參加啦！仲未訂閱富翁電視 MTTV， 快啲去訂閱啦！